This is the world that you know.
This is news from North Carolina Public Radio, WUNC. Early in-person voting got underway this morning.
I believe in freedom, liberty, and I come from a communist country. And I disagree with Joe China.
Good morning, everyone. It is now 8 o'clock sharp, and the polls are open.
They cheered at doors open on day one of voting in Raleigh. Across America, 15 million had already cast an early ballot before them.
Voting is important, and believe me, for the nightmare that we've suffered in this country for the last 4 years, it's very important for me to be here.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Democrats invited it.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
Democrats encouraged it.
When they go low, we kick them. That's what this new Democratic Party is about.
Get up in the face of some Congress people. You have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
You can hear there is a chorus of boos and other chants from this Trump crowd here in Tampa, Florida. They're saying things like CNN sucks, go home, and fake news. Wolf, obviously, all of those things are false. We're staying right here. We're going to do our job and report on this.
Family stealing the election. The media's covering up. The Biden crime family stealing this election. The media's covering up. The Biden crime family stealing this election. The media's covering up. We want our freedom for the world. Give us our freedom, Joe Biden. Joe Biden's covering up this election. He's stealing that.
Look at this. The role of declaring the winner of a presidential election in the U.S. falls to the news media. No, it does not. The broadcast networks and cable news outlets have vowed to be prudent.
The Fox News decision desk can now project that former Vice President Joe Biden will win Pennsylvania and Nevada, putting him over the 270 electoral votes he needs to become the 46th president of the United States.
Biden is being called with the Pennsylvania votes that have just come in.
Darth Tax Evader has been toppled, and America responded with a dance party.
So even with thousands upon thousands of uncounted ballots, pending lawsuits, hundreds and hundreds of claims of voter fraud across several states. The good old lapdog lamestream media and the Biden campaign decided to just move forward and claim victory. We should all want the same thing, a fair and honest election, right? If we rush through this process, disregarding all that has come to light, then we are no better than a third world communist country that conducts rigged elections with no concern for the voting public.
They have everything
think so?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. I want to thank the American people for their tremendous support. Millions and millions of people voted for us tonight. And a very sad group of people is trying to disenfranchise that group of people.
A global plan called the Great Reset is underway. Its architect is a global elite that wants to subdue all humanity, imposing coercive measures with which to drastically limit individual freedoms and those of entire populations.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
And we won't stand for it. We will not stand for it.
Well, guys, the results are almost final, and it looks like America has tested negative for Donald Trump.
So I gotta say that it's so great Trump is spending the days after the election with basically his entire Twitter feed censored. It's like taking away Zorro's sword.
Trump kept saying, "Make America great again," and this week 74 million people were like, "You got it, dude."
And we were getting ready for a big celebration. We were winning everything, and all of a sudden it was just called off.
The states will all need to officially certify the vote. In the middle of a pandemic, almost 150 million Americans voted, and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will receive the most votes of any presidential ticket ever.
The citizens of this country have come out in record numbers. This is a record. There's never been anything like it. To support our incredible movement, we won states that we weren't expected to win. Florida, we didn't win it. We won it by a lot. And we won the great state of Ohio.
Donald J. Dumb Trump.
We won Texas.
I wish we could slap the Twitter warning label on Trump's mouth whenever he talks. To be clear, there's no evidence for fraud anywhere.
Justice Department is involved in this review of the election.
Well, I'm delighted to hear that. I think there are any number of things they need to investigate, including the likelihood that 3% of the vote total was changed in the pre-election voting ballots that were collected digitally by using the Hammer program and a software program called Scorecard. That would have amounted to a massive change in the vote that would have gone across the country and explains a lot of what we're seeing.
Antrim County is a Republican county, a very Republican county. Usually it's like a 70% Republican. We noticed that it was way off, our numbers were way off, and so we kind of looked into it further. And after further investigation on the ground, in coordination with our war room, we discovered that the Antrim County clerk said that there was a glitch in the software and that they were going to hand count all the ballots, which ended up being a 6,000 vote flip back to the Republican candidates, which would be what would be on trend for that community. From there, I looked at did a little investigation on this software and discovered that the company puts on their website that they have clients of 47 counties for election software across the state of Michigan, and we have 83 counties. So that's more than half of the counties in the state have this same software, which one would think would have this same glitch.
Whether he chooses to concede or decides to wait until these legal challenges play out is yet to be seen.
Well, it's easier to be a parent this morning. It's easier to be a dad. It's easier to tell your kids character matters. It matters.
He's not going to win this. Even he knows that, but he also can't admit he lost because he's a poorly raised little monster who was born a millionaire. But every other losing candidate for president found it within themselves to concede.
President
Donald Trump. And not the only one we found in the trash.
This is vindication for a lot of people who have really suffered.
It's also clear that we have won Georgia. We're up by 2.5% or 117,000 votes with only 7% left. They're never going to catch us. They can't catch us.
Think about a presidential election as a baseball game. At the end of the ninth inning, whoever is ahead wins, whoever's behind loses. That's baseball. But could you imagine a different world in which, in baseball, there were actually 13 innings or 14 innings, not just 9. But we just had a weird tradition. If you're behind in the ninth inning, you just come out and concede.
0-2. Skoll, right side, base hit. Matt Skoll comes through. Welcome back, Matty. It is 3-3 in the ninth.
The race for president remains much too close to call, with a number of key states still counting votes. That includes Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Georgia.
And this is a case where they're trying to steal an election. They're trying to rig an election. And we can't let that happen.
Because the Constitution actually spells out 2 different sets of innings. You got the popular election process that everybody pays attention to, and then you've got the elite selection process that everybody essentially ignores. In a close election, if nobody concedes, the second invisible process, these extra innings, if you will, they actually matter a whole lot.
Just made this one, made sure this was only a 1-run deficit.
And this is a big deal for us just to be able to get some peace and have a chance for a reset. And the character of the country matters.
While Donald Trump is keeping a low profile, Joe Biden is putting himself front and center. And he had a message to the man he'll replace and his refusal to accept the result.
I just think it's an embarrassment, quite frankly. The only thing that, how can I say this tactfully? I think it will not help the president's legacy.
So we all knew he would do this. What I didn't know is that it would hurt so much. I didn't expect this to break my heart. For him to cast a dark shadow on our most sacred right.
What a total charlatan, casting a dark shadow over our most sacred right. You mean like this?
Trump knows he's an illegitimate president.
I don't see this president-elect as a legitimate president.
I've created an illegitimacy clock. It's on my website. If you look at it, it tells you how many days and hours Donald Trump has been illegitimate as president.
But I think at the end of the day, it's all going to come to fruition on January 20th.
There's a major thread that's not being discussed widely. Everything you're seeing tonight is an illusion. There is no president-elect.
And all the effects of real war.
Okay, put the village behind us.
Give me some sound of screaming.
He is recognized as the president-elect by Republican President, former Republican President No, and by former Republican President George W. Bush.
How close are you to this? What do you want the kid to say?
All the spectacle.
I know we're all concerned for the president.
I know we're all concerned for the president.
I know that we are all concerned for the president.
By 4 U.S. Republican senators and by Democratic senators. Look, it's not a question.
Even the term president-elect used right now is a media fabrication.
And the presidential electors meet in mid-December after the people vote in November, and they're the ones who actually elect the president.
He hasn't been sworn in yet, and the Electoral College hasn't met. We all know that. But we also know that any previous candidate other than Donald Trump would have admitted that he'd lost and conceded by now.
So I guess what you're telling the viewer is that the mainstream media and big tech like Google, Facebook, and Twitter control the narrative and tell us what to think.
Really think that the big tech companies are going to stop doing the bidding of their masters in Washington? Not a chance. You think big tech is going to suddenly think, oh, you're allowed to think for yourself? No.
I tell everyone at home, please watch the show Black Mirror because you're watching it right now. The media is gaslighting you. Illegal votes.
Whoa. I just think we have to be very clear. She's charging, the other side is welcoming fraud and welcoming illegal voting. Unless she has more details to back that up, I can't in good countenance continue showing you this.
Think for yourselves and just let the democratic process play out. No one is saying that Joe Biden isn't going to ultimately...
And what you're doing is encouraging people to indulge in baseless conspiracy theories.
That the fake media has for some time said there's no evidence. We've been putting evidence on television every day, including the day after the election.
But that's an explosive charge to make. The other side is effectively rigging and cheating.
The fact is, we are filing this federal lawsuit to protect legal voters.
In this lawsuit, we have over 50 witnesses who will say that the vote count, particularly once the election ended that night and President Trump was ahead by 800,000 votes in Pennsylvania, the count thereafter was unlawful.
They continue to count illegal votes. That is unacceptable, and it's giving legal people a sense that the system is corrupt.
The guy was born March 1902. By the way, he's dead since 1984.
We can't allow dead people to vote. It can't happen. So we got to find out what's going on. Thank God Corey Lewandowski's here.
This is hard evidence, and if you do your jobs from the media, I'm sure you'll find additional examples.
What's more important, yes, you are registered to vote on 3rd November.
I know this city has a sad history of voter fraud. After all, Joe Frazier is still voting here. Kind of hard since he died 5 years ago, but Joe continues to vote.
Norris Savage met his maker in Iwo Jima, 1944. Nelson Savage was killed near the 38th parallel in Korea. However, yesterday, these men managed to cast their vote.
Well, we're in the final stages of counting remaining votes here in Philadelphia. We have about 18,000 mail-in ballots yet to count, and about 18,000 provisional ballots yet to count. Not all those ballots, if the provisional ballots are cast by someone who is not an eligible voter, those votes won't count. So we're in the stage that requires just a lot of attention, ballot by ballot, to get this completed.
It's the same process with the last Schwarzenegger movie. You're the man.
And messages of congratulations coming in for President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris. This one from Hillary Clinton. She just tweeted this: "The voters have spoken, and they have chosen Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to be our next president and vice president. It is a history-making ticket."
They can spy, they can besmirch, they can impugn, they can investigate and impeach, and then the minute they win, they say, let's call a truce.
House Democrats are asking themselves one question after Tuesday's election stunner: what the hell happened?
Biden will win the popular vote by more than Bush did in 2004, Obama in 2012.
And frankly, the president's ahead in North Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and making up ground in Arizona.
As we said on July 19th, the American people will decide this election, and the United States government is perfectly capable of escorting trespassers out of the White House.
Oh, man. So once this election is finalized and behind us, it'll be time for us to do what we've always done as Americans.
4 years of non-stop hate. And now they want the Americans they dismiss and demean to just roll over.
To put the harsh rhetoric of the campaign behind us. To lower the temperature.
And pay homage to the new regime. No. No.
To see each other again. To listen to one another. To hear each other again. And respect and care for one another. To unite. To heal. To come together as a nation.
A nation unified, a nation strengthened, a nation healed. Okay, so no, it isn't.
They go on about democratic norms and how Trump is undermining them. Right, let's follow their example. Let's uphold their norms, Democrat norms.
Joe Biden should not concede under any circumstances.
And you need look no further than Joe Biden's own party. You know, AOC within his party is one of the ones trying to get accountability lists together of Republicans who voted for Trump.
This election demonstrated the abject failure of America's media to inform America. I think they're some of the biggest losers in all of this. They've totally lost their professionalism.
They've been calling all of the Trump supporters, not just Trump, that'd be bad enough. Not just Trump, all of his supporters, racist, bigots, xenophobes, misogynists, sexist, transphobes, you name it. And now it's like, that stuff we said, we're good, right? Aren't we good? Get over here. Come on.
I'm not going to say that 50% of Americans are racist and sexist and homophobic, but I will say that that tells me that they will look the other way.
For all the predictable behavior of the last few days and the last 4 years, right now something unpredictable needs to happen. Republicans have to speak up.
Hello, America. Hello, Georgia. Let me be frank and earnest. There's a dead cat on the end of this line, and it's stinking. It's stinking with fraud. It's stinking with lack of transparency. It's stinking with non-accountability. And it's stinking with those who call themselves wanting to have fair elections. It's stinking with their absence.
I was a Democratic governor in Illinois for 6 years. I was a Democratic congressman from Chicago in 6 years. I was the first governor to endorse President Obama for president. Both President Obama and I came out of Chicago politics at the same time, and I know that he knows that the Democrats are stealing this election.
Well, let me say this. I hope the news media learn from this. It's been you carrying the false narrative of these false polls coming from these liberal universities. That's right. And you and these pollsters have done more to interfere with this election than Russia and China combined. You have suppressed and depressed the voters of this country.
Anyone familiar with big city politics can see this. It is a planned, it is an organized and coordinated campaign to steal the presidency. And I truly believe that if there's a proper investigation, the evidence of fraud will be overwhelming.
Trump won, but Democrats think we're stupid and they tried to steal the battleground states. But now they're in a bind. It's taking way too long to count votes, and it's clear something is up. They got caught, but they haven't finished their little scheme. It appears that Trump won by such a large margin. Now they aren't sure they pumped enough illegal ballots into the battleground states to actually beat him.
The sitting U.S. President, Donald Trump, has not conceded this election. Today, he made more claims in tweets about the election being stolen from him. Then he hit the golf course while his legal team is working on preventing him from being a one-and-done president.
It's almost too perfect.
Joe Biden has been elected president of the United States.
When Joe Biden wins the presidency,
he was playing golf. The word we have is that he was playing golf when it happened. And this is some video of the president out playing golf.
Donald Trump is doing, well,
if
something.
Somehow they manage to stumble into the Supreme Court, do any of you guys trust Uncle Clarence and Amy Coney Barrett and those guys to actually follow the letter of the law? No.
America remains. It's still here. That's the first and most important thing. And it's not a foregone conclusion. We almost lost it. Democrats told us they wanted to beat Donald Trump. They spent more money than anyone ever has in any election in history to do that.
This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
I don't think a few extra weeks of recounting and investigations is going to damage our republic.
Democrats didn't harness the full power of big tech and the billionaire class simply to make Joe Biden president. No. What they really wanted was total control over everything. No more democracy, no more dissent, permanent obedience from the rest of us. And they came shockingly close to getting that.
You want me to believe that Donald Trump had a solid lead in Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina, and that somehow in the middle of the night after the counting had stopped, hundreds of thousands of votes for Biden miraculously appeared at the polls so that when voters wake in the morning, Joe Biden has taken those states?
You wonder why no one trusts this outcome, including Trump? When you keep being lied to, how can you trust anyone? No wonder pollsters never ask if you trust polls. How can you go to bed seeing one result, then wake up to a new one that saves the day for the media's choice and not be a little suspicious?
So again, they got the last two elections wrong, they got coronavirus wrong, the Russia hoax, and then they covered up for the big guy right at the home stretch. You don't know what kind of damage that did, but we'll never find out.
Hang in there, folks. Donald Trump won on Tuesday. He's still winning, and his team is going to bring this home. Democrats are left trying to rig the election without looking like they're rigging it. But now they're caught in the spotlight of the entire nation.
If Democrats had won the White House and the Senate last night, the country as we know it would have ended. Not because Democrats have bad ideas, though they do, but because Democrats plan to impose an entirely new system on our country. Not an agenda, a system. With nothing to check their power, the left fully intended to eliminate the traditional American balances within our government, along with the Constitution and the Bill of Rights that constrain their power. We're not overstating this.
A slight delay was an advantage to Democrats. This lengthy delay is no good for Democrats. The tide has turned back towards Trump.
For the good of this nation, this is a very big moment. This is a major fraud in our nation. We want the law to be used in a proper manner. So we'll be going to the U.S. Supreme Court. We want all voting to stop. We don't want them to find any ballots at 4 o'clock in the morning and add them to the list, okay?
How would any of that improve the United States of America? Well, they never claimed that it would. Making this country better was never the point. The point was to create a permanent Democratic majority, a one-party state with complete control over the population. Never in our history has any mainstream political party proposed an agenda more radical than this. They didn't talk about it much. There's a reason for that, of course. They didn't want to scare you. But it was entirely real. And last night, it came very close to happening.
So, why don't y'all do all of us conservatives a favor, get real, stop declaring Biden as the winner, because it ain't over yet.
We will win this, and as far as I'm concerned, we already have won it. So I just want to thank you.